What do you think of the series that you're covering?
Man, it's been crazy. Kratzy, you got a chance to be there when we were there in 18. I mean, that place can rock up in Milwaukee. The fans are excited. They're looking forward to it. They had just knocked off the Cubs, and then boom, here come the Dodgers, and they have been nonstop. Dave Roberts, I got a chance to cover that series when it was Dodgers Phillies, right when the Phillies clinched during the regular season. And you do the pre-manager interviews, and Dave Roberts said, hey, I feel like we're lined up as best as we've ever been to have 4 actual starters for the playoffs. Last year, it was all bullpen for us, and we threw anybody at any time, and it worked. But this year, we're going to be almost traditional / new wave, unconventional, because we actually have starters, and we have multiple of them. And not only do they have them, they have been delivering. I mean, Blake Snell looked like he wasn't even sweating, like he was just playing catch, and then got one up by Yamamoto. I thought just the pitching staff has done an amazing job for the Dodgers, more so than the Brewers have not. I think when sometimes you're just getting beat up, you just got to give credit where credit's due. And that pitching staff for those 2 performances in game 1 and game 2, they sucked all the wind out of, what is it called? American something field. It's not called Miller Park. Yeah. We'll call the Brewers home stadium. They sucked it all out of them, and they've done an amazing job of doing that. And we'll see if they can keep it going for game 3 in LA, but it's going to be a tough hill to climb for the Brewers to try to get one, let alone try to even this thing out.
Before we hit anything specific with this team, these 2 teams, pull yourself back. Like 17, you played for the Dodgers. 18, you played for the Brewers. And the Curtis Granderson effect, both teams have been in the postseason all but one season. The Brewers missed it. Where do they align, and where are you like, whoa, they are 2 separate ways of getting to the exact same spot, both these organizations?
I think the biggest thing is the money first and foremost. You have the Dodgers and how much they spend, and Mark Walter over there, he's going to spend it. He's going to open his pockets up. He's going to keep going, but he spends it because he has it. He has the amount of money to be able to do it. It's arguably one of the biggest media markets in the world. They have people that know about it from the Far East to the West to Central, North, and South. There's Dodger fans just to and through. The Brewers, on the other hand, they're not that. They are the smallest media market in baseball. They're in Milwaukee. They're in the state of Wisconsin. A lot of fans may not have been to this ballpark yet. They may not know much about this team. But I think the things that both of them do well, and you both were all talking about it before I came on, they make sure that their organizations and their systems are in place to allow what they have to be the best that they can be. I never felt like going from the Dodgers to the Brewers that one organization was lacking. Like, oh, we don't have this or we don't have that. But you hear these stories over and over, and it's amazing that with 30 clubs and the amount of money that's put into the payroll, that some teams have and some teams do not. I don't see that so much with the Dodgers and the Brewers. Now, the Dodgers do have a lot of great shiny things, some of which you can say, hey, we need, some of it we don't necessarily need, but it's good to have. On the flip, when you go to the Brewers, I didn't feel like there were things that, oh man, we're missing these things. Why don't we have these things? So from that standpoint, I think they're both even, but I think you work with what you have over there. They've been able to develop from within. That's the Brewers, that is. They've been able to get buy-in from everybody to understand their roles and know that there's going to be some flexibility and moving pieces around. Whereas the Dodgers say, hey, we're going to roll out 3 MVPs to start this thing. And then we're going to get some Cy Youngs on the mound. And then we're going to throw some money into them. And not only that, they're also going to buy in. The communication with Dave Roberts to their team, I think, is all there. So a lot of similarities, but the big glaring one is the money and the superstars.
So there's a lot of managerial jobs open right now. Have you ever thought about dabbling into being a manager, or is that just something that you're not really interested in?
It's crazy. And it's how, towards the end of our careers, the one big thing that made this a 99.9% no for me is I'm in Atlanta with the Mets, and I got our manager Terry Collins and Dick Scott, our bench coach, and Ricky Bonus, one of our bullpen coaches. And I'm leaving the hotel to go get something to eat, and it's about 11:30 ish or something like that. So I finally come back. It's about 12:15. I just went and grabbed something and came back, and they're all in the elevator. I think they're going to get something to eat. They're going to the ballpark, so I get confused. I'm like, isn't the game at 7 o'clock tonight? They said, yeah, but we got to get there early. We got to do our reports. We're going to get a workout in. We got to meet with the GM. We got to do all this stuff. I said, you got to do that before every game. And we're not getting out there until the game's going to finish at 10 o'clock. The bus is going to be at 11 o'clock. I said, so for 12 hours a day from February 15th to call it October 15th, this is your schedule? They said, yep. I said, I'm not. That is too much to be committing that much time. Now, I do love being around the game and trying to find ways to impact it and help and be there to guide individuals on doing great things. But, you look at right now, what do we have? 8 managerial openings right now in Major League Baseball. I feel like it's a very tough place to have success. You look at the Yankees right now and everyone's calling for Boone's head. And my question is, well, who do you want to replace him with? Who could come in there and handle that media and handle that team and be able to not only have the success from a winning percentage standpoint, but do everything else you have and, deal with the media day in and day out. There's only a handful of people that can do it. And I think Aaron Boone's been doing an amazing job with that team in that situation with all those other distractions. That's a job that, it's a great one to have, but I don't necessarily think you want to do it. Aging like the president and aging as the Yankees manager, I think are up there hand in hand in terms of stress. So that's the big reason why I'm looking at it going, you know what? If I can impact the game in a number of other ways without having to be in the dugout and be a manager, I'm going to try to lean towards that.
Well, I'm going to text Booney right now and tell him it looks like he's aging a lot. Quote, right? Curtis Granderson, you look like you're aging.
Just for men.
Okay, yeah, I ain't got it. There ain't nothing for the just for men to stick to up here, Grandy. But
hey, they got those man pieces now. You can glue it up there now.
They do.
Grandy, if you buy me a man piece, I will wear that, John, and it will look. I will be so confident. I'll be confident.
Let's do it. You just can't sweat in it though. That's the only thing.
Okay, no chance. And I'm sweating. I sweat all the time. You know what I sweat like. But my question to you then about on manager's topic, Albert Pujols. You see a superstar. Think of all the Hall of Famers you've played with, superstars jumping right in to be a manager. What is the biggest hurdle, but also what's the biggest strength that he would bring to that job?
I was fortunate to get a chance to work alongside Albert Pujols with our TBS broadcast last season, and he came in and did an amazing job. Talks the game like the best of them. Of course, he's one of the best to ever do it. But then his inside analysis of how the game processes and how it works and things you see, and you got that sense right there that how involved he wants to stay with the game. He then goes, and I think he's managing in winter ball and wins a championship in the Winter League. And for those of you watching this that have never experienced Winter League baseball, you got to add it to your bucket list if you are a baseball fan. It's intense from game one, and the stress level might be as high as the Yankees. For example, the team I played for, Licey, which is in the capital of Santo Domingo, that team has made it to the championships multiple years at a time. Their championship round, I think, is 9-game series, not 7. So keep this in mind. The manager recently of that team makes it to the winter ball championship. They lose the first 2 games and they fire him. He is out. So this is the manager that gets his team to the postseason, to the championship, but you lose those first 2 games, get up out of there. So that's the stress level that is there. And I know Albert Pujols has been there and has had some success there. So from that standpoint, I got no question that he'll be able to handle all the different things. And of course, he's played in World Series and won, so he'll be able to do that. I think the biggest challenge for any former recent player coming back to manage and or coach is to be able to speak and understand the language of not only the front office, but of the current younger players. There's a difference in just how communication has to happen, certain lingo, certain things that may have worked, but how you deliver it. for example, I've heard a lot of younger players talk now as one of the biggest things they look at, and you hear it in the broadcast when they announce a home run. They give you exit velo and they give you the launch angle, and then of course tell you how far it went. The generation where I've played, similar to, Pujols, similar to you both there, we were looking at distance and did you get the home run? Like, wow, that had to be 450 feet. Either you got it or you didn't get it. On the flip, these younger players looking at it saying, well, if I did the launch angle and I got the exit velo, that should have resulted in a home run. Why did it? Why did it not? And you have to be able to bridge the gap of understanding why that conversation is happening. We looked at it and said, it's windy. The sun just went down. The air got heavier. All those different things. They don't see it that way. And you have to be able to understand it. I can't come in there and say, your way is wrong. Don't think about it that way. Back in my day, this is how we did it, and you have to do it like that. If you come in there with that mindset, you are done. So I think having the ability to adapt and know, okay, this is what is working for them. This is how you communicate with them. Same thing with the front office. This is how they communicate. And I also have to let them know how I communicate, and hopefully we can all work well together. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for any recent former player stepping into this. But I think Albert Pujols is going to do a great job. People love him, respect him, and he wants to work. He wants to get better. He's always trying to find ways to improve.
This is for everyone listening right now. What are you wearing right now? And why isn't it MeUndies? Kratz, it is time for everyone to upgrade and get that super soft micro modal glory. So good that you don't want to take it off.
The reason I'm stone facing you is because that's how soft they are. It's ridiculous. Like I don't even understand what kind of material it is. It's got to be something space age for your butt.
Signature super soft micro modal fabric. Breathable, stretchy, unbelievably cozy. And now you can even get glow in the dark, part of the Halloween line. Right now, as a listener of FT, you can get cozy and spooky for less with deals up to 50% off at MeUndies.com/foul. Enter promo code FOUL. That's MeUndies.com/foul. Promo code FOUL for up to 50% off MeUndies. Comfort that's made for fall.
Anthony Volpe. The season that he had, it's obviously coming out, he needs shoulder surgery. The season offensively that he had, defensively. My argument was I think he still should be the starting shortstop for the Yankees moving forward. But Scott brought up a great point that maybe he shouldn't have played down the stretch. Maybe it should have been Caballero, who's not a everyday starting shortstop, but he would have been their best choice out there at shortstop for the playoffs. What do you think about that?
Again, we talked about Aaron Boone being the manager of the Yankees and the challenges that brings. Well, that shortstop position, because of a man named Derek Jeter, is one of the most storied positions in all of the game. So he set the bar so high that anyone else that comes in underneath, it's going to be some big shoes to fill, and especially when you're on the big stage in the postseason. Now, like you said, we just saw that he had an injury. Who knows how much that was affecting not only his fielding, his throwing, his hitting, his mind, all those different things. When you're playing with an injury, it's just something else that you're thinking about in addition to trying to hit the baseball, field the baseball, and help your team out. But the previous year, got a chance to interview Aaron Boone before one of their games, before a broadcast, and he just kept ranting and raving about just defensively how solid Anthony Volpe is. And he said that he's not going to get a lot of attention because his throw doesn't come out and light up the radar gun, but it's always there. It's always target. He's able to make the plays that you assume he's going to make. And I think that's the biggest thing. As long as you make the routine plays, that's what you want to have. All the exceptional and superstar plays, like those happen, but make the routine ones. We don't want to give up extra outs. So I think from that standpoint, I think he looks at this season and goes, hey, I need to improve. I need to find areas where I can improve. I did the same thing when I was with the Yankees. My first year in 2010, I went to Kevin Long and said, I feel like I can be hitting better. So we had to start making some adjustments, and it started at the end of that season, throughout the whole off season, into the 2011 season and beyond. So you have to look at yourself and say, is this the player that I think I can be, or can I be better? And I think the team and organization has to look at that. Then you go, okay, if they get better and he improves, boom, this is your spot to lose. If not, we also got to see what other options we have. You can't just stay and keep going in the same spot hoping that things are going to change. But at the same time, competition is always a good thing. Derek Jeter said it best. He was always looking over his shoulder because someone was trying to take his job. And that's what kept pushing him forward to get better and better year after year and made him the player that he is. Who knows what the ceiling's going to be for Volpe? But I think as long as he continues to push himself, understands the things he needs to work on, and the organization continues to push behind him, I think that could be an option for him. If not, then hey, you got to turn the page and everybody moves on. There's 29 other ball clubs that you can play with. I got drafted with Detroit and played for 6 other groups, and you both all there have played with some other teams too. You want to be in the big leagues. You don't care who it's with, but you have to do everything you can to allow yourself to be in the big leagues and be as good of a player as you can be.
Well said. Well said. I couldn't. Nobody. I don't think anybody here could have said it better ourselves. But yeah, for sure, he needs. He just needs maybe a little kick in the rear end. Something to get him going. He's a Jersey guy, so he's got it in his blood. So hopefully he can figure it out. My question to you. I'm gonna go back to the playoffs here. Both teams down 2-0. Do you see any of these teams coming back and finding a way, to make this a series so we can watch a little more baseball before the World Series starts?
Well, we definitely want to get some more games in. I mean, this is our time of the year. It's October. We want those games. But here's one thing that I hope didn't happen, and it may be starting to show itself. You have the Blue Jays knock off the Yankees like we were just talking about, just iconic organization. This is an amazing moment. People wrote them off. Are they going to get caught by the Yankees in the regular season? I even thought the Yankees catching with Bichette going down towards the end of the stretch that they might pass them. Well, not only did they not pass them, then they come and bring it to the Yankees and outscore them out, hit them out, pitch them out, do everything to them. They're amped up. They're excited. Was that their World Series? I hope not. On the flip, this Brewers and Dodgers series, you got the big brother, little brother conversation. You got Wrigleyville North up in Milwaukee. It's Milwaukee. It's not the Cubs. They're not going to beat us. And boom, not only do we take it to them, but we beat the Cubs. And then we hang up the L flag in our team picture. Was that their World Series? And I'm hoping for both of their situations, they didn't peak too soon thinking that was the big moment. And that could be why both of these teams are down now 0-2. The good thing is it's not over. You have to reset. There was an off day yesterday in the American League. There's an off day today in the National League. Can they come back and do what just happened to them? Go to their ballpark and take it from them. Because that's what those two teams just did. They just came in your house and beat you up. Now you got to go back and get your stuff back. They got all your stuff. You got to go get it back now. It's going to be a challenge, though. I think one of the best situations, though, is the Toronto-Seattle series. I got a chance to play for the Blue Jays in 2018 before getting traded to the Brewers. And when we played in Seattle, I did not realize how many Blue Jays fans there were in that area. And I was told it's the one time of the year where the Western Canadians can come down and see their team and support. And not only did they come down and support, they took over the city. They took over the stadium. They had 4 people running on the field throughout the game. I'm not encouraging that, but that's how crazy and insane these fans were. And I think if they can bring that energy and the Blue Jays can match that energy, we can see them pick up a game, possibly even this series, sooner than you could see with the Brewers going to the Dodgers and trying to do the same thing. They're not going to have a bunch of Brewer fans out there at Dodger Stadium. Their fans aren't just in massive groves from Wisconsin coming out to LA to take over Dodger Stadium. That is not going to happen. However, sometimes getting out of your element, getting into a space, having your back against the wall, and everybody saying it's over could be exactly what you need. And I think Pat Murphy is going to get those boys excited and give them the best chance possible to go out there and try to get Game 3, which I think is more important for the Brewers than it is for the Blue Jays.
All right. I got one last one here for you. You had mentioned K-Long, you making an adjustment. You wanted to be a better big league hitter. Is he still the guy for the job in Philly? Because I've always said I think he's one of the best, if not the best, hitting coaches in the big leagues at helping guys make adjustments. But this is a lineup who is a veteran crew that hasn't made the adjustment in the last 2.5 postseasons combined?
You know what? I think Kevin Long is the most confident and optimistic hitting coach I've ever had. He makes you feel like you can hit against anybody, no matter what the situation is going. At the same time, these players have to continue to have that confidence in themselves and believe it for them. When you get to the postseason, there's been all these stories about, like you mentioned, can that offense show up? What's going to happen with the bullpen? And then you start thinking, all right, are we starting to read into that a little bit more? Is it happening again? This is what we saw happen last time. Okay, we got to stop this before it gets going. And all those different things make it very difficult to hit. When you get back to the basics and just try to simplify it and focus on one pitch, one at bat, one game at a time, that's where things get easy. And Kevin Long has done a great job of doing that for as long as I can remember. Just thinking, hey, the big things I would always ask him before every game: does this pitcher throw strikes? Is he in the zone? And what pitches does he have? Like, those are the main things. Like, we don't need to think too complicated. And sometimes when you're struggling, you add a lot more to it, and it starts to become even more overcomplicated. Okay, in this pitch, in this count, he's going to throw this with this much spin on this part of the plate. And if I get this swing down, I can do this, and I got to hit it to this side of the field. That's tough when you're facing all these pitchers. Now, I'm not saying that's what the Phillies lineup is doing, but when you start to scuffle and you start to struggle, a lot more things start to enter your mind. But I do think Kevin Long is one of the best out there to do it. I think he's still one of the best options for that job. I don't think they need to switch anything from that, because you still had a regular season where this was one of the most potent offenses in Major League Baseball. But when you get to a 3-game series or a 5-game series, bats can go cold, arms can go cold, defense can start to leak in and make mistakes it never made at any point in time in the season. So somehow you just got to find a way to continue to peak and stay hot at the right time. Even when we look at this Dodgers and Blue Jays series, would you expect that Shohei Ohtani is going to be having the offense that he's having? And I wouldn't necessarily put that on the hitting coach. I think there could be something he's just, hey, I want to get the big hits. I've been trying to do it. I've been doing it. Let me continue to be this. And then when it's not going your way and it's not going your way, okay, now you start to search a little bit. But that bottom side of the lineup, 6, 7, 8, 9, has been coming through left and right, left and right. And all it takes is one swing of the bat. And we thought we had it with the Phillies at Dodger Stadium when they got to Yamamoto. But then they got neutralized again. So credit where credit's due with that Dodger pitching staff pitching as well as they did. But all in all, I think Kevin Long is still the man for the job. He is always going to be in the cage and always getting them amped up. And I think he gives them the best shot as of today with the lineup the way it's constructed with the Phillies.